Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us for to celebrate Military Saves Month and to learn how we can be better stewards of our money. So my name is Lisa Terry. I'm the manager for the Howard County Office of Veterans and Military Families. And Tracy, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes, so I'm Tracy Rezvani with the Howard County Office of Consumer Protection.
Yeah. And we will have two of our presenters today. Bill Bloom, he's a junior Bill, he's a junior senior loan officer with Embrace Home Loans, and then he's also a Marine veteran. And then we'll have Lisa Swan, who is a financial center manager at Fulton Bank, and you'll hear from them a little bit later. Go to the next, yep. And these will be the topics that we'll be talking about today. I'll share some of the Office of Veterans and Military Family resources and services. We'll learn about VA loans and the myths that many of us have heard in the community, and just about savings, and then also scams. Next. Again, these are our presenters for today: Tracy, myself, another Lisa, and Bill Bloom.
I don't know what is happening today. All right, so
the Office of Veterans and Military Families, my office, I'm a one-woman office, but I also have a commission for veterans and military families, 13 volunteers from the community that meet once a month. It's 11 veterans and then 2 military connected family members, and we discuss and drive the priorities through this group, and obviously county administration. But my office provides information, services, and resources, and just general access and guidance for people who might need to be connected to their VA benefits or other community resources. Some of the areas that I provide assistance and guidance and perhaps referrals are education, employment, mental health, wellness, recreation, housing and human services. And then we're fortunate enough to have a Maryland Department of Veteran Affairs Veteran Benefits Specialist in Howard County, and their office is located in our multi-service center in Laurel. Her name is Catherine Perkins, and she can assist you with any VA benefits that you might be interested in, such as disability, spouse, a surviving spouse benefit, etc. I also collaborate with my colleagues in the Howard County Department of Community Resources and Services. That is the human services umbrella for the county. It includes 9 offices, one of which is Office of Consumer Protection. Others that I collaborate quite closely with are the Office of Aging and Independence and Office of Children and Families, and then our Community Partnerships, which oversees our homelessness program. Next slide. I'm just going to touch upon the initiatives of my office and just, give you a few examples of the work that we're doing. So one of our priorities is mental health awareness and suicide prevention. One of the things I'm most proud of is a NAMI veteran support group that was stood up during the pandemic. It came to many of our attention that we don't have a support group here. So a virtual one was started and is still going strong through NAMI, which is the National Alliance of Mental Illness. We had 4 veterans trained as peer facilitators, and they the first Monday of every month in the evening, they have a veteran connection support group, and it's just a drop-in. And then they've just recently started a veteran social meetup the 3rd Wednesday of the month at Game On, which is a new vintage arcade in the Merriweather district. So you can always email me for more information about that. I'm also on the crisis intercept mapping for suicide prevention team, which is the hospital, the community college, mental health providers, our health department, and many others, the police department. And we've been sort of mapping out what those resources look like for the county and where the gaps are. And we've decided that we need to get this information out to the community. So on June 6th at Rockburn Park in the evening, we're going to have an event with a band. We'll have veterans sharing the spoken word about their experiences. We're going to have food trucks and activities for the kids. So it will be a family-friendly event. All are welcome, but there will be a lot of resources there for military and veteran families to connect with. Also, I do a lot of referrals to county or state agencies. As I said, I work closely with the Maryland Department of Veteran Affairs. They actually bring county veteran and military family commissions together on a quarterly basis to share resources and initiatives that they might have, or new grants, new legislation, that type of thing. I also make referrals to nonprofits. So if I have veterans that call me that might need food or utility assistance, I might refer them to the Community Action Council or the Maryland Veterans Trust Fund. If they have some mental health needs, I will also make referrals because there are a lot of programs out there that have free or no cost programs and resources for our military connected community. We also do legislative advocacy. So we've been, pushing certain legislation for a while, and I'm happy to say that our new governor has submitted legislation to actually change the name of the Maryland Department of Veteran Affairs to the Maryland Department of Veteran and Military Families, so to make it a more inclusive office. Another thing that I work closely with is the community college, Howard Community College, and the Howard County Public School System. So we support the military and veteran families at those institutions. For instance, with HCPSS, I'm working closely with various schools to help them apply for Purple Star School designation. And what that means is there's legislation that was passed in Maryland a couple years ago, and there's some guidelines that they've put together that will that they're asking schools to improve and expand their support for military and veteran students. So we had one school apply last year and actually receive a designation, Bellows Spring Elementary, and we'll have others apply or complete the application again this year, and hopefully we'll continue to expand that support across all of our schools. We also work with HCC because there are a lot of active duty military spouses and veterans attending school there. So we like to support their graduation boarding ceremony for military connected students. They have a Veterans Day ceremony. They have a Veterans Lounge that's a dedicated quiet space for military connected families to utilize. So sometimes we'll make donations to that throughout the year. And also their food pantry that is named after a World War II veteran that used to reside in Howard County who passed away a couple years ago, Vivian Bailey. I work very closely with Fort Meade leadership and serve on several committees: Fort Meade Alliance Military Families Committee, Fort Meade Community Covenant Council, and we try to bring resources and information to the workforce and their families in many different ways. So just providing them access to events that might be going on in our county and things like that. I do community building, and I mentioned a little bit about Purple Schools. So I try to do a lot of outreach. For instance, the library is having a Month of the Military Child event tomorrow night that I'll be at. Bellows Springs is having a breakfast for their military families next week as well. And so I try to get out in the community and just let people know that my office is here and that I can support them in any way. So if you know of any families that are relocating to the area that just aren't, kind of don't know what's what or where's what. I've been here for 25 plus years. So if I don't know the answer right off the bat, I will certainly find it within a couple phone calls. So I'm always happy to help anyone relocating here. And then those who are, that live here, have been here for a long time, maybe some of our older veterans who are trying to access resources for a disability or maybe a home repair, those kind of things. So I work very closely with the veteran service organizations. We have great partnership with the American Legion Post 156, American Legion Post 300, our Marine Corps League, our Civil Air Patrol, and our VFW Post 7472. And they do a lot of great community stuff too. They have scholarships for students, and they do a Family Freedom Fest every year, as well as an Easter egg roll. They have a Santa breakfast. So it's really, if you haven't seeked, what the veteran service organizations do in Howard County, I encourage you to do so because they do a lot more than people realize. They're always working. So they continue their service after getting out. And you can find on my webpage, you can find all of their schedules. So they have a luncheon and they have general meetings that you can attend if you wish at Mission Barbecue. So if you are, wanting more information, you can access my webpage. You can use this QR code. It takes you right to my webpage, and there's a directory there. It's got over 100 nonprofits and government agencies that support veterans in some way, veterans and military families in some way. Um, and there's also a behavioral health directory in case you were looking for that type of support for a family member. Um, and um, and then some of the really fun things that we do really quickly is our Veterans Day Parade. We collect handmade hats and scarves for deployed service members that we share and that we mail out. And one of our big, and I also had a veteran and military owned small business expo last year. And one of the things that we're most excited about is a veteran and military families monument. A nonprofit was founded in 2016, the Howard County Veterans Foundation, and we've been hard at work fundraising for a $3.5 million art sculpture on the Columbia Lakefront. So Lake Kittamaqundi in the Vivian Bailey neighborhood park next to Whole Foods, you're gonna have this amazing monument. And so we're really close to our financial goal, and we hope to have that installed by 2026. So again, I'm here for you. This is just a nutshell of what I do, but please reach out. My email is there. My phone number is 410-313-0821. Thank you so much. All right, and we're going to move on to Bill Bloom, and he's going to tell us about VA loans and some other information. All right, Bill.
Great, thank you. My name is Bill Bloom. I am a loan officer, but my passion is, for the last 10 years, is to educate realtors and home buyers on VA home buying, trying to get rid of some of the myths that are out there in the community. I do training with the VA once a year at their conference that they have yearly. I also am certified as a VA lending specialist through the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. So I don't just come at you as a person that does loans, but I'm here to help you and educate you and real estate agents to explain that a VA loan is the best loan out there. By far, it's the best loan out there. We get a bad rap sometimes because it's 100% financing, and people think just because we're doing 100% financing that we are a weak buyer. It's just not the case. There are stats out there that are tracked by all government agencies, and VA loans outperform every other type of loan out there. I don't care if someone puts 20% down, compare that to a veteran. Our loans perform better than any other loan out there. So if your real estate agent gives you a hard time and wants you to put money down because they think that they're going to have a better chance of winning that offer, they're just not looking out for your best interest. And you should put them in contact with someone like me, and I'll help them understand that just because you're a VA buyer does not mean you're a weak buyer. If we go to the next slide, please. So how do you qualify for a VA loan? There's a couple different ways depending on how you serve. If you serve during peacetime, and we haven't been in peacetime since, I believe, 2001 was the last time we were at peace, just before that, before we went to Afghanistan. So most of the people on this call have probably served after 2001. So if you serve during peacetime, you need 181 days of consecutive service. If you serve during the time that I just mentioned, anytime after 2001, all you need is 90 days of service. And then the other thing you need is that you have to have gotten out of the military better than a dishonorable discharge. So a honorable discharge is fine. Other than honorable is okay, but dishonorable or bad conduct are not okay. If you're a reservist or a National Guardsman, there are some other factors that go into it. You have to have 6 years of continued of good service, and and basically what that means, you also have to earn enough points each year. If you're not a reservist, this is all sounds different to you, but every year that you serve as a reservist, you get points for serving, whether you're doing drill or something like that. So a year is, you have to have enough points in that year to count as a year. how do you figure this out? Well, there's a person in every unit that has a document, an NGB 21, I believe it is, that we can get from them, and it'll show your dates of service and how many points that you received during that time of service. And I can look at it and calculate whether or not you're eligible. Or you could have been caught up on Title 10 or Title 32 orders, which a lot of you may have done during COVID. Like if you went and, I don't know if you call it guarded, but you stood around the building while people were getting their COVID shots, and you were there for 90 days and you did some sort of drill like that, then that kind of stuff counts too. The easiest way to do it is just to get that form, bring it over to me, and I can take a look at it and make sure you get enough points, or if you've got long enough with Title 10 or Title 32 orders. If you have a question about yourself individually, whether or not you qualify, please just email me, text me, and I'm happy to go over it with you individually. Next slide, please. We already talked about this one. You can go to the next one.
Okay.
All right, here's something that most of you probably don't know. Just because you did one VA loan does not mean you can't do another VA loan. I've heard a lot of people say, I'm saving my VA loan for my forever home. Just because you did a VA loan once doesn't mean you can't reuse it over and over and over again. You can also have more than one VA loan at a time. So you bought a house here in Maryland because you were stationed here in Maryland, and then you got orders, you're going now to Georgia. Well, you can turn your home here in Maryland that was your primary residence, and you can purchase a new home in Georgia. It depends on how much eligibility left you have left on your certificate of eligibility. Everyone's certificate of eligibility is available online. I can pull it for you. If you want me to get you a copy of your certificate of eligibility, it doesn't cost anything. It's free to pull. I'm happy to pull that for you. It's very easy for me to get. And that'll show how much eligibility you have. Everyone starts with 32,000. That's just a random number. Don't get that stuck in your head. But that just means the amount that the VA is going to guarantee on your loan in case you default. If you want to buy a home, VA has no maximum loan limit. Conventional loans have a maximum loan limit for each county. FHA loans have a maximum loan limit for each county. VA has no maximum loan limit. You can borrow $2 million with my company and have no down payment. Most mortgage companies have a cap, but the VA says, we'll give you $5 million if you want to buy a home, and that'll be a VA loan. So all you need is a certificate of eligibility to do that. There are some cases, if you're buying a home with someone you're not married to, you might have to do a down payment. Sometimes, you may want to buy a house with your mom, your dad, or your sister, or maybe your girlfriend or boyfriend. If they're not related to you, the VA only covers 25% if the house defaults. So if you're only 50% owner of that house, they're only going to cover 12.5% of that house. So that means that the person buying the house with you, they want them to have some skin in the game also, so they're going to require a down payment. Doesn't mean it can't be done. I've seen a lot of veterans go out and marry their boyfriend or girlfriend just so they can do 100% financing. I don't recommend that because then all kinds of crazy stuff can come out of that. But number one thing to take away is even if you've done a foreclosure on a VA loan, you still may be able to use a VA loan again, depending on how much the VA lost, how much entitlement you still have left on your certificate of eligibility. Next slide, please. So the next slide is going to talk about what to look for. So people don't usually ask the right questions. They ask, what's my rate? And that's usually, you would think that's a good question because interest rate is important. But what you really need to ask is, what is my APR? Because interest rate, you might get a 5% interest rate from someone and 6% with someone else, and you're going to be like, wow, I'm going to go with the 5% because it's the lowest rate. But what they're not telling you is they're rolling in a bunch of fees to get that interest rate. So the easiest way to see that to compare both loans side by side is to look at the APR, because the APR factors in the cost to get that loan. How much is their broker fee? How much is their underwriting fee? How much is the processing fee? And are they charging me any points? All those things get calculated into the APR, and that 5% loan may have an APR at, say, 6.25%, or that 6% loan may have an APR at 6% because they're not charging you any fees. That 6% loan is usually going to be better for you in the long run because you're not spending thousands of dollars right out of the gate. The other thing that you need to ask is, if you're getting quoted on mortgage rates, is my rate locked? A lot of times what I see is you'll go under contract to buy a house, and some mortgage companies out there that aren't looking out for you will flash a rate to you. Maybe they'll say, hey, we're going to give you 5.5%. Then when it's time for you to go to closing, you've got your moving truck loaded up. All of a sudden the rate jumps because the rate was never locked. So you always want to make sure your rate is locked. There's something called a loan estimate that'll show you if your rate is locked or it isn't locked in the top right-hand corner of page 1. You always want to make sure your rate is locked. Next page, please. If there is one, I don't think there is one. Oh, yeah. So some federal laws that look out for you. If you're serving in the military and you took out some debts prior to going in the military, you can have your rates adjusted both on credit cards and loans like car loans, and even your mortgage. Another way that this also kicks in is if you go on deployment. So if you go on deployment, these things are capped at 6%. All you need to do is call the creditor and call let them know you're a service member and you want to invoke your Service Member Civil Relief Act, and they'll automatically reduce those rates. The cool thing about it is they don't come back and say, oh, well, your rate was 10%, but now you've had this 6% loan now for 4 years, and now that time is up. You're no longer in the service. You owe us all this back interest. No, the interest stays 6% until you're out of the service or you're done with your deployment. And then we also have the Military Lending Act, which caps interest on other types of loans at 36%. No mandatory waivers or consumer protection laws, no mandatory allotments. I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, if I wanted to buy a new stereo, I'd go out to the mall. I'm really aging myself, I think. But I'd go out to the mall and I'd go and buy the $700 stereo, and then they would fill out an allotment form, and they would take $50 out of each one of my paychecks, plus a crazy amount of interest until that loan was paid off. That's really become predatory, so they've put an end to that kind of stuff. And the biggest part of this is no prepayment penalty. So prepayment penalty happens when you try to pay a loan off early, and they say, okay, that's great, we'll take the money, but we're also going to add a fee for paying your loan off quicker than you were supposed to. That's illegal, and that's based on the Military Lending Act. They can no longer do that. So a couple things to know about there. I know I said a lot. You'll see my contact information. I'm sure they'll send it out to you. If you have any questions individually, please reach out. I'm happy to help.
Thank you so much, Bill. And please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We are going to move to Lisa Swan with Fulton Bank. I'll let you take it away, Lisa.
Hi, thank you. Again, I'm Lisa Swan. I'm the Financial Center Manager with Fulton Bank. And I'm here with my colleague, Seema Harding, who works with me in the Downtown Columbia office. And we wanted to talk to you a little bit about savings and having some assistance or creating a plan there. So on the next slide, great. So the key to being successful in savings, whether you're starting with saving $10 a month or $10 a week or $10,000, is to create a savings plan, to have an objective, to put aside money on a regular basis so that you can, have money for the house that you might want to buy, to furnish that house, or pay for the other expenses of the house, even if you do get that great VA loan with 100% financing, to save for other major events or milestones in your life, and having a plan with that. So you can always start out small. It can sometimes be a little overwhelming at first for individuals, but with the technology of things nowadays, it's really a great option to try to make your savings plan automated, by setting up consistent direct deposits into a savings account, for doing automatic transfers from your maybe primary checking to a savings on a weekly or a biweekly or a monthly basis. If you set up that plan and make it automated using that technology, it seems a lot more seamless, or you'd be surprised how quickly then you can accumulate funds that way. So it's always important to be able to save for something unexpected that comes up, so you don't have to necessarily use high interest rate credit cards if you have, a car repair that you need, or an unexpected health situation that might have come up. And if you have had those things before where you've accumulated debts on credit cards or other loans that you've had in the past, part of the savings plan is really paying down those debts, because that is saving you significant money in the long run. It's saving you a significant amount of interest on a monthly basis and can really improve your cash flow over time. So keeping that in mind as part of your savings plan, if you do have debts that you're trying to manage, where you put a significant portion of your savings towards paying down those debts, and maybe keep a little bit extra in the savings for something else unexpected, so you don't have to reutilize those same credit card options. But a lot of banks nowadays, including Fulton Bank, have a lot of budgeting tools that are built into their online banking applications and mobile apps that can help you keep track of, where your money is going. Are you spending a lot of money, on daycare costs, or are you spending a lot of money, eating out at restaurants and things, and maybe it doesn't seem like a lot at the time, but when you look at it using the savings budgets and tools on the online banking applications, you can find ways to cut back some expenses to move those towards a savings plan. And a lot of times they can send you alerts about them through the online banking apps and give you charts where you can plug in, you want to save this much each week, calculating for you how much that means you'll have at the end of the year or in 3 years, or, help you determine if the interest rate on the savings account that you're earning is at, say, 4 or 5%, which is the rate on some short-term CD options nowadays. Like, how much interest will that earn you on the $2,000 that you have saved there, or the $10,000 that you have saved there? Or if you know that you want to have $10,000 to put down on a home purchase or a car purchase next year, it can help calculate for you how much you want to be trying to save on a weekly or monthly basis to reach that goal in the time frame that you have set up. So a lot of banks offer a lot of budgeting tools built in right through their apps. So if you swipe the cards and things that the bank offers, it automates all of that for you too. So you don't have to kind of on paper keep a separate budget. There's a lot of tools you can utilize there. And you want to try to maximize your savings by, if you've accumulated some funds for the unexpected in a regular savings account product that's very accessible, where you can make those automatic transfers in and out of as you needed. Once you've accumulated larger balance in those, switching them to a short-term CD product or a money market product nowadays that can pay you higher interest on those extra funds that you have there, and opening up or setting up an IRA account so that you're saving for your retirement plans in the future is really important to try to create a plan to accomplish, so that down the road as well, you have access to the funds needed, you know, to support your goals. You want to move to the next slide? There one. So, you know, one tool that is also very helpful is to utilize some of the education centers that are available that a number of banks provide, including Fulton Bank. They also are generally part of a number of networking groups and organizations within the county, and there's some statewide programs that are specialized for veterans that you can look into. We offer one-on-one mentorship options at Fulton Bank. We have a number of options specifically for veterans, or veterans who are looking to start a small business, where there's specialized programs that you can potentially pursue that would qualify you for, you know, extended payment terms or different interest rate structures, or again, like with the VA loans, lower down payment requirements on those options, so that when you're finished your military service, you can pursue your interests and plans to start a business in the area and get access to the capital that you need, you know, to get that started, and the support through the networks and education that can be provided, so that you can ensure that business is successful and contributes as part of the community over the long run. So we're here to try to help, and would be happy to answer any questions anyone has on savings account options, you know, military banking programs that we might be able to offer.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And we will now move on to Tracy, who will talk to us about some of the most common scams targeting our veteran and service members.
Hi. So quick recounting of what our office does for Howard County residents. We mediate disputes. So I always say, if you've paid money, not happy with the result, you file a complaint with us or call us and determine, hey, do I have any say in what happened? What are my rights? What are my obligations? Our investigators will answer the phone and speak with you. If in the process of looking at the complaint, we see the law was broken, we actually are a law enforcement agency, so we can pursue legal recourse against the practice. We license peddlers and solicitors. We also license trespass tow companies, but peddlers and solicitors may have some bearing on our conversation next. And obviously we do programming about your rights as a consumer. Ordinarily, I could speak a whole hour about common scams, but I really did want to drill down and focus on the ones that we see focused on the money. They're going after the money of our veterans and our active military. So imposter scams run the gamut from Amazon to, you know, USPIS. So you have heard about the imposters that pretend to be all of these known businesses, whether they're emails, texting you, or calling you. What is specific to veterans and active military would be the TRICARE piece. So you may have criminals pretending to be TRICARE. They're going to call you to verify something, or tell you there's something wrong with your account and they just need some information. But really what they're trying to do is get your information and perhaps steal benefits in a subsequent form of identity theft, et cetera. Another thing that we see that obviously impacts money, wealth building, et cetera, is this bogus records fee. You don't have to pay for copies of your military records. You just got to call the VA and they'll give it to you for free. But there's a lot of entities out there who say that they can do it for you for a fee. Real estate, for folks that are being, you know, reassigned or moved, you may be looking for a place to live in your new area. Well, rental scams, unfortunately, are a real thing. Folks find either empty homes or homes that are maybe being listed for rent by somebody that actually owns it, and they'll copy that listing. And I can't tell you how many stories I've heard nationwide about a homeowner coming to check on an empty property and see a family has been living there for months and paying somebody else rent. And so now it's a right mess. So militaryconsumer.gov, which is a really, really good website. They recommended militarybyowner.com as a good place to search for rental properties for folks that are moving. Banking and investment scams. You may end up getting some kind of unsolicited claims that you're missing out on aid and attendance benefits. This investment, by all accounts, is a complete sham unless you're following, you know, unless it's someone you know you're talking to, you reached out to an existing program. Someone who's contacting you about something that you don't know anything, you haven't asked anything about, is chances are that's not a good deal. And it could end up hampering your benefits. Charities. I can't tell you how many fake charities are out there. They sound like, the names are very similar to real charities that we all know. So you want to be aware of this version of an imposter scam, right? So fake military charities, they're trying to get your money. There's a lot of PACs that are going to be calling you, these super PACs, these political action committees that are not true PACs. They're essentially licensed by the IRS to simply raise money. And this was a huge, huge problem with first responders. They were taking in millions of dollars in fundraising and buying one radio ad. And that's how they determined that they were being completely legal and that they were willing, they took money to support, you know, candidates that were going to support first responders. And they were soliciting here in Maryland, and they bought one radio ad in Florida. And that was how they were claiming to be legitimate. So every charity is licensed by the Maryland Secretary of State to be soliciting in the state. And Charity Navigator, Give.org, GuideStar, there's one more. Those are great resources for you to do research on the charity itself. Other things, online sales. Fake websites exist. If the price is much better than a known retailer online, look for an address. If you can't find an address, if you can't find an email address, those are red flags. We're dealing with a complaint here. It's a Chinese company. It's using a, I think, a PO box in New York, but all returns have to be mailed to Lithuania. Those are huge red flags. So the products may not exist, or they may send you what you didn't order, and now you're stuck because they've got a shipping label. I had one where they ordered a circular saw, and what they got was a package of rubber bands. And so it was very difficult to prove that shouldn't have been, but to prove that a circular saw weighs significantly more than a package of rubber bands. But online sales is really difficult. Trustpilot, Scam Advisor, those are good websites that can evaluate the history of a particular online retailer. Social media is the #1 gateway for scams right now. whether it's these fake ads for counterfeit products, there are going to be a lot of websites that are popping up. Like I said, it goes in with the fake websites for the online sales when they're advertising on social media. Usually they have bizarre names you've never heard of. All of a sudden your feed is full of ads for the same item, but from 5 different stores. It's like literally the same ad. Like, how could that be, right? But the FTC is really, really monitoring the gateway, which is social media, for a lot of scams. Pension advances. So scammers try to exploit veterans in tough financial situations by trying to trade off, like, I'll pay you, it's like the Popeye's old friend, right? I'd gladly pay you tomorrow for a hamburger you buy me today. They're willing to pay you a fraction of what your pension is or your disability is today for an income stream in the future. But a lot of times, A, you're not getting what it's worth, and B, these advances are disguised high interest loans. So if you are in a financial situation where you do need money, reach out to your bank, reach out to your lender, reach out to Lisa's office, Lisa Terry's office. All of these folks are there to try and assist you. And if you are in a situation where you are, maybe in a repossession or in some sort of credit issue, you can definitely call our office. At the state, the Office of Financial Regulation is also really, really useful. Phishing and smishing. So those are those links and attachments that come to your email, they come to your text. If you use any chat apps like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, those things are another gateway, right? The links will either take you to a fake website where you're just giving over your passwords, your personal information, your banking information, or it's downloading it to your phone or to your computer and stealing it when you are not even aware. So that's another major area to be aware of. Last but not least, there are no secret programs, right? Veterans are constantly contacted and told they qualify for money from some secret program that only this person knows. That's not true. If there is a program, chances are Lisa or those who work at the state organization that Lisa Terry mentioned, they will know. So if you have any questions about any secret programs, please reach out to us. We can definitely help you there. I don't know if there were any questions.
I asked folks on the call to put their questions in the chat if they have any, and this can be directed to any of the presenters today. I'll give it a couple minutes, see if anybody chimes in. And if not, we'll let anybody, any of the presenters, if there's anything last minute they want to add, feel free to do that. I will comment on the aid and attendance. There are a lot of attorneys out there that are, claiming that they can help you get your aid and attendance, but you have to pay them. You don't have to pay them. There is a Maryland Department of Veteran Affairs veteran benefit specialist in Howard County that can help you apply for those benefits. So call her. Her name's Catherine Perkins. And I'm going to put her email in the chat.
Hey, Lisa, can I also say something else?
Yeah, please.
So another thing we get scammed on quite a bit is paying to have someone help us with our VA disability claim.
Yeah.
You don't need to pay someone to do that.
Nope, Catherine,
you can go right to the you go right to the Disabled American Veterans Group, which is inside the VA hospital, and they'll be happy to help you. I know there's an office in the Baltimore VA hospital, but you don't need to pay someone to help you get your VA disability. I get ads for that all the time, so keep an eye out for that as well.
Yeah, Catherine can do that as well. Catherine Perkins. So locally, if you're at the hospital and all your records are there, it might make more sense. Or if you already have some type of disability, you want to get you want to apply for larger compensation. But we do have a resource here in the county. But yes, some veteran service or officers can provide that help too. But she does this every day and receives continuing training. So, you know, utilize her, and I put her contact information in the chat.
And I'll just add that we see so much of those scams all the time impact customers nowadays. And a lot of times they try to feel like there's an urgency to the situation. And even if it is a legit situation, the best thing you can do is like hang up and think through what you're saying or what information you're providing before you just give it out to someone that unsolicitedly texted you or called you or something. Like if anyone ever asks you for second authentication verification codes, like that's not something financial institutions ask for. And that's ways that people kind of coerce you into providing information where they can access your accounts potentially online. And most banks that you work with, I'm sure all of them really like are happy to talk to you about the situation, let them know what information you received, call the representative at the bank that you know and trust before you start providing details, and verify what they're telling you before you give out account numbers, social security numbers, passwords, verification codes. Those are key pieces of information where sometimes it's given out, it's kind of too late. You have to shut down accounts and things. And that's just a headache for people to have to fix, even if they don't end up with a financial loss as a result of it. So the banks are here to help too. So if you have something that seems unusual or you're not sure about, call the person that you know at the bank first and ask, and they can maybe help direct you to someone that can give you support as needed.
Yeah, and definitely call the bank at a number that's already like on your credit card, on your statement or whatever. The numbers that are provided in emails and texts are never right.
Exactly. You should always call the number that's published on the bank's website. If you don't have a card or something to reference, like Google the bank and go to their website directly and call a local branch office or the 1-800 number on the website, not the one in the message or email.
I know there was a question about the materials from this. It is being recorded, like Lisa Terry said. It'll be on the HOCO community YouTube page. It'll be on the consumer protection playlist. It may also be on the Office of Veteran and Military Family playlist. And the slides will be hyperlinked as well. So you'll have the recording as well as the PowerPoint presentation. And since everybody registered with an email address, when it is live, I will email everybody and let them know exactly where to find the recording and the slides.
And then in the chat, just responding, one of the callers just wanted to add a comment that now that taxes are finished, it's important to know that you can deduct the VA funding fee in the year you pay it for your home. So the deduction is, of course, income limited. So check the IRS pub. So thank you for that information. All right. Any other questions? We'll give you 10 minutes back on your lunch hour. Thank you so much for joining us. And that is my contact information. If you have any questions for anybody that was on the presentation today, feel free to reach out to me, veterans@howardcounty.md